Hey, Robert.
Hello.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Hello, hello. How are you?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Nice, nice.
Hey, Horace.
Hey,
Is it Massey?
Sí, Masi. I think it's my first time here.
Okay, great. What state are you in?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
How about you?
What's that?
How about you?
I'm in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Horace, what about yourself? What state?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay, great. And you wholesaling currently?
Yeah,
Are you licensed?
no.
Okay. You know you gotta be licensed in Chicago, right? I'm sure you know.
Yeah, but I'm not wholesaling. I'm not trying to wholesale in Chicago.
Oh, you're wholesaling somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm trying to do Indiana and Wisconsin.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want another state, Ohio's a good state also.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could do things in Chicago or Illinois. You just either gotta buy the property or get hooked up with an agent or some transactional funding where you buy it and then you sell it,
Okay.
Yeah. Does anyone here not know what transactional funding is?
I
Cool.
don't.
Don't? Okay. Well, transactional funding, what that is like, let's say I got a deal. I got it under contract for $50,000 and I got it sold for $60,000. So normally I would just assign it to the new buyer and not have to close it. The new buyer closes it and I get paid 10 grand at closing. Follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, so transactional funding is, for whatever reason, I can't assign it or I don't want to assign it. So I go and borrow the $50,000 to buy it. I only borrow it for less than a day. So it might cost me $1,000, but I go and borrow the money from a lender or a funder and they come in and they close the $50,000 loan. And then I turn around and, 10 minutes later, I close the $60,000 loan with my buyer. So I do two closings, one to buy it. So I call it A to B, I'm the B. So the A to B, I close it, I'm the buyer. And then I turn around and I'm the seller and I close it to my buyer. So B to C, A to B closing, the B to C. So we do two closings and then I get the money. It cost me $1,000 to get the money. And then I turn around and sell it real fast. And so it's going to cost me $1,000 plus usually some closing costs. But if you got a deal and you're making $100,000 on it or $50,000, you might want to double close and go and get transactional funding.
Okay. I also heard you can do like if you have a partner, they can buy you out of your share of the deal.
Like buy your LLC maybe?
Oh, I'm talking about like on the contract, there's like two of you
Mm-hmm.
on the
I think the
contract.
tenants in common, I think is the name of that transaction.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I heard of tenants in common, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I never done it that way. I've sold LLCs before, meaning I might have like I got a couple LLCs that I don't use, and I might buy it under John Doe LLC, and then instead of, I would just sell the LLC to the buyer, and then he'll just buy the LLC, and then he, you know, for 10 grand or whatever the amount is, and then we don't have to really do any type of closing transaction from there.
Is that a way to get around the, hi, sorry. My name is Sade. I think it's showing up as a different name on here. I'm also in Chicago. I
Awesome.
was trying to get around the, having to get the license as well in Chicago. I don't want to make Chicago my home place to do a lot of deals, but I wanted to get a couple done just to get them under my belt before I move into a different market. But
Sure.
I had a question in regards to that in terms of being able to buy it in an LLC and then just sell the LLC to get around having to have a license. Is that what that is, or do I have that wrong?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if that's gonna solve it. I would first connect with some title companies that are wholesale or investor friendly title companies. And I'm sure they know all the, I don't want to call them tricks, but all the different ways they could, you know, do these. Like transactional funding's one way. They might have an agent that you could work with, and you know, they make a small commission and you could do the deal. So there's got to be different ways of doing it. You know, I'm just
Yeah,
not sure.
I talked to my attorney and he said that they're not really uh they're not really pushing the issue if you're only doing a couple, not trying to like make a career out of it, but you know, that was mainly due to COVID and they're not really on it like that. But he said if you want to do maybe 2 or 3 out of the year, you can do it. And then you know, just if you're trying to do more, you might want to reevaluate
'Cause
at
I
that
know the
point.
law is like one wholesale in Chicago.
Yeah, it's one a year, but he's a wholesaler friendly attorney, and he was telling me that he's had clients get away with like 2 or 3 in a year.
Okay.
Um,
But they
but
probably
again,
know the
that's
benefits.
yeah, that was due to, you know, just over the last couple of years with COVID backing everything up and
Mm.
them not really
Yeah.
enforcing it.
Yep. I got you. Yeah, I'm a licensed agent. I've been licensed since 2012. I think it helps me in my wholesaling business tremendously because I got access to the real, for all the comparables, the public records, finding out so much information, getting phone numbers through the MLS here in Michigan. So, and I can list a house if I don't buy it or do a wholesale type deal. So
Okay.
definitely helps me. I think eventually Michigan's going to become that way also.
Mm.
You know, but and it's really easy to get a license nowadays. And I think they're going to get more strict in Michigan, meaning you're going to have to take you know, now you could take a week class or do it online for 40 hours and then take a test and you're an agent. I
Hold
think
on,
they're
give me
going to make it like a 3 or 4 month process, you know. So, but that's,
With getting the license, is it possible to get the license just a wholesale, or do you have to get the license and then have to work for a broker?
well, you have to get a license. I'm not sure about Chicago, but I'm pretty sure that's the same. But you got to get a license, and you don't have to. You can wholesale, but you got to get set up with a broker. You got to hang your license with a broker. So you got to find an investor friendly broker that will allow you to wholesale first of all, and sometimes they'll just hold your license so you could do your thing. You know, where you don't have to be a real estate agent. And here in Michigan, like if I refer a deal to another agent, I'll get paid, you know, either 25% or 50% of the commission, whatever we set up. But if I'm not licensed, you're technically not allowed to refer anything, you know, and get paid on it. They don't allow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you.
But
So you
Yeah.
said you've been licensed since 2012. How long have you been wholesaling? And are you only wholesaling in Detroit?
I've been wholesaling for 6 years. January 1st will be number 6. Yeah, but I've been in the mortgage business for a long time, since 1990. So I'm an old man. So I know Detroit really, really well. I was buying back in the day. I was buying foreclosures at the foreclosure auction back in early 2000s. But your second question, what was your second question? I'm sorry. I should.
How long have you been wholesaling, and are you only wholesaling in Detroit?
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, I've been wholesaling for 6 years, and I've done some deals out of state. Working on a couple in Texas right now. I'm not a virtual wholesaler because, and the reason why, I always thought about it, but there's just so much business where I'm at right now. There's no reason to try to spread myself thin, and I really don't want to create that business where I've done it a few different ways where I had a big team and in the past, and I don't like that business model personally. Not that saying it doesn't work. It's just not the way I'm set up. I have one virtual assistant and I have 2 people that are making phone calls for me. And I do it a little bit different. My virtual assistant, their job, let's say I get a list of 200 names and numbers of absentee homeowners. Okay, if do you know, I'll just tell you what, in case you don't know, absentee homeowners means the person that is that doesn't live in the property. It was probably a rental property. Okay, that's what that means. So if I get a list of that, I would, from there, I would have my virtual assistant skip trace them, get the phone numbers, put them in the system, and we might get 6 different phone numbers for that particular person. And then I would have my virtual assistant call under one of my other company's names. Let's say I got a company called Jensen's Properties and I got a company called Michigan Home Solutions. So I'd have them call under Jensen's Properties, and really I could care less if he gets a lead or not. I just want him to find the correct phone number. So I would have my VA make those phone calls and get the right phone numbers and put them in my CRM. And then my 2 main guys will then go after, now we got the good phone number. We could call them, we could text them, we could email them, and we could stay on top of them to make to make contact with them. So that's been working really, really well. Instead of, my main guys, I want them to be calling people with the right phone numbers, that if you make enough phone calls or buy enough lists, and that is the key, is reaching these people, you having the right phone number so you could call them and text them and things like that.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
One is, where when you say you purchase the list, where are you purchasing? And then also, when you are calling these people, are you only using wholesaling as your exit strategy, or do you have other strategies that you implement? And if wholesaling doesn't work for
Usually I'm calling as an investor. I might say I work with a group of investors and we're looking to buy, another 3, 4, 5 properties in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. And I'm not going to be calling to list their property. The only way I would do that is, let's say I'm calling a foreclosure or a pre-foreclosure, and there's just not enough room to wholesale it, then I might I might then do it as a listing. I might list it to get them some money to save their credit and things like that. But yeah, I'm usually calling to be, investor, because I could buy the property. I would say most of them I wholesale, a handful. I try to do 1 or 2 flips at a time. So I'm always looking for my next flip. I'm working on a flip right now here, actually 15 minutes from my house. So that's really nice and convenient. And, usually I'm just calling as a cash buyer investor, you know. The way to get the list, there's a lot of different lists. I mean, people use PropStream. You could go to listability.com. You could Google where to get lists. I get I work 4 different, I work pre-foreclosures and foreclosures in Michigan. I pay for a weekly list from a pretty really good source that took me a couple of years to find. And I get all the weekly pre-foreclosures and foreclosures from that. And then I do driving for dollars, where I drive neighborhoods on early in the morning or on Sundays, and I get 200 or 300 a week that I do, and I have my guys skip trace and call that. And then I get absentee homeowners is my favorite, so I get a huge list off of that.
Which location or which cities in Michigan do you do? Because I'm generally a buy and hold kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, are you familiar with Michigan, Joe?
I live in Michigan.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, so I work Macomb County, Oakland County, Wayne County, and Genesee County. So I just don't work, I would say 70% of my business is in Detroit, and the others are in the suburbs, Yeah.
Do you have a seller's list? Is there any way I can get my email on that?
Yeah, 100%. I'll put my information in the chat, and I could get you on my buyer's list and all that good stuff. And you could get my link, get on my link.
That's a good segue into the next question, is how did you build your buyers list?
Yeah, we're going to meetups is the big thing. Getting my, I go to a lot of local meetups. There's probably 5 or 6 of them a month. Just talking to title companies is a good way. If you could get in good with a good title company that a lot of people use, and try to get the connection with them of how you could get a buyer's list from them, or who are the buyers. And that's one way, just word of mouth. I got a couple mail carriers that I use, like 5 of them. I give them, if all they do is text me, or I told them any house that's ugly, high grass, renters, someone died, foreclosure, they know everything that's going on the routes. I said, just text me their address and I'll skip trace them. And if I buy the property, I'll give them some money. So those are really good too. So mail carriers, garbage carry people, things like that.
Excuse me, I have to get going. Thank you, Mark, for the opportunity to be here. Something came up, so I will have to get out. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Do you ever look at, I find a lot of buyers, good leads in the, like I use myreipro.com, which I like very much, Privy as well. I do like PropStream, but I find, you can find a lot of free buyers. I don't know if you use it. You just look at properties that have been sold. I look at fix and flips and the zip codes that I'm targeting. Yeah. And then I just look at the buyers. And I just you can build it that way too. It's a good source.
Yeah. That's a great source. If I'm having trouble selling a house, that's what I'll do, is just go in that area of anything that's sold in the last, 6 months, 12 months, and start skip tracing the buyers / even the real estate agents, and even ones that look like flips that are active or pending. I'll call them also, because once they close, they're going to be looking for another house usually. Yeah, so that's a great way. And Facebook is also a great way is just a different Facebook group. Someone posts a deal and you got 15 people saying, send me this, send me that, send me this, send me that. You can always DM them, call them, reach out to them, have a conversation with them. And which is and then you could add them, some of them are going to be wholesalers. I really don't want wholesalers on my buyers list. They're going to try to pitch your deal out, kind of daisy chain it and things like that. I try to stay away from that. But Privy is the new thing. That's the new prop stream. And it's not really good in Detroit or Michigan. It doesn't give you the information, but in a lot of states, it gives you everything you need. I know a lot of people doing deals with Privy.
Well, because it has the heat map. I mean, there's no other apps. I mean, like I said, I use all three of them. And with Privy, it's just something about it. As soon as I get in there, boom, I get to look at all the fix and flips, zoom in down to exactly how many are being done in what city. And then some of them will give me a buyer. If I'm looking, it'll show all the fix and flips of whatever, Fix and Flippers LLC. Some of them buy up bulks of properties in some of these areas, but yeah, I do like it. PropStream is good too, but yeah, I would say Get Privy is my favorite so far.
Absolutely.
What state are you in?
I'm in Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. Another site where you could get some lists from, and it's very similar to Privy, where you could get some buyers and pull comps out, is I belong to a mastermind group, and they just rolled this out. REI Lead Machine. You can look it up, REI Lead Machine. I just started using that and I'm liking it so far. It's better than PropStream, but Privy is PropStream. They lost a lot of their information recently, the access to the MLS and things like that. So
Yeah, and their data is much older. Some of the data, I've tested them, like I throw them all up in like 5 different browsers. So I'm a super tech nerd. I'll take one address and then I'll dump them into all 5 of them simultaneously and see what information, so I could compare the apps.
yeah,
And they all have different stuff, but PropStream it is good, but it gave me older information sometimes.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yep, for sure. Well, that's definitely makes a big difference. I mean, you do a lot of virtual, Jen, is that, or you're doing local?
Yeah, I'm more virtual. Like I have customers that come to me, or I have buyers that are looking for something in particular states as well. And then I'll JV with someone in another area, that whole deal. But yeah, that's my main thing. I'm not a realtor or an agent. So it's always intriguing when I call you're what I call one of the unicorn agents, the ones that are licensed. And then you also do wholesale, because you don't find a lot of realtors when people are, especially wholesalers and creative, when we're contacting realtors, some of people are receptive and then some are not. You, on the other hand, are receptive to that, because you're doing both. How do you feel when wholesalers reach out to you? I mean, you're a little ahead of the game though, because you're doing both sides when it's a wholesale deal or a subject to deal. How do you feel about it?
Well, yeah, I would say I'm like 95% a wholesaler. I'm just got my license because I had it before I knew what wholesaling was all about and just kept it. Yeah, I reach out to agents like you, and they don't have a clue about wholesaling,
Some of them never even heard about it. They're like, or
Right.
they hear it, or they don't even know. As soon as you say something, they're totally lost. But then you get some that are very apt. They actually love wholesalers and creatives, and they're excited. And then you get the ones that want to write offers, and then you get the ones that they just don't know. I think bridging the gap is so important. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I was curious about that. I didn't know. I mean, this is my first time here. I didn't know that you mainly do wholesale. So that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, 6 years ago, I'd never heard of wholesaling. you know, never heard of it. I was in the mortgage business, worked for a company for over 20 years, doing Section 8 rentals, buying houses off short sales and everything else that you did traditionally. Never heard of wholesaling. Once I heard about it and found out the community, what it was all about, within 3 months, I quit my job of 23 years, you know, and went crazy, try to figure this game out, you know?
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm right now targeting, I'm doing what you're doing, pre-foreclosures.
Yeah.
You know, talking to sellers and, you know, doing that whole thing. I'm doing a mix of letters, some postcards, but I find that the direct to seller, you know, is the best when you talk to people. I mean, they're pretty willing and they deal with you, but right now that's my main target. I've been really on that lately.
Yeah. So in Virginia, are you calling pre-foreclosures in Virginia or other places?
Well, right now, I did exactly what you're doing. You know how you said that, hey, why am I venturing out doing other things? And you know, as in this business, that you can get sidetracked to doing so many things. I mean, there's so many, you know, I'll have one team that's like, oh, come over here. And if you comp properties and we'll JV on a deal and we'll do this. And I have to allocate my time. And I'm like, well, gosh, with virtual wholesaling, you can focus on so many states. I said, you know what? I'm going to scale this down and I'm going to focus on foreclosures in my area. But yeah, I'm mainly focusing on them here. And then I'm going to like branch off into other areas. But,
Sure.
you know,
So I got a question in Virginia. If it goes to foreclosure sale for the mortgage, is there a redemption period?
I don't think there's a redemption period. I just started on the pre-foreclosures, but it is a non-judicial state. So, I mean, it does go straight to auction. I mean, it totally skips that part. I mean, you know, if I have a buyer that does want to purchase a foreclosure property here, it's typically about $10,000. You have to bring, you know, a cashier's check, and then a lot of states require you to bring the full payment the very next day, you know, within 24 hours. Here in Virginia, they allow you up to 14 days, you know, to pay off the balance. But
Right.
yeah, but all the other standard stuff is pretty standard. Loan modification, file the bankruptcy, you know, or whatever, or offering the seller a wrap, you know, the normal type of things.
Yeah. So the way it works here in Michigan, that's why I was asking you. I've been doing that for even before found out about wholesaling. But so if a house goes, like, I'll give you an example of one that this is well, I don't want to confuse people, but so if a house goes to auction or it's in pre-foreclosure, and let's say it's going tomorrow, I'm going to the auction tomorrow in Detroit, actually. Every Thursday I go to the auction, the live auction. And that's another place you can meet a lot of buyers too, by the way. But anyways, let's say it goes to auction tomorrow and it goes to sale for $50,000. Let's just say it's worth 100. And it doesn't matter if someone buys it at the auction, if someone pays 55,000 or no one buys it. The seller here in Michigan has 6 months to redeem the property. Okay. So they got 6 months to sell it. They got 6 months to live in it. So what I do, a couple of different things I do is I go to the seller, try to get them before the auction. But if not, I get them after the auction. I say, hi, Mrs. Jones, your property went to auction. Another guy bought the property for 55,000. Or, you know, I said, do you know what happened at the auction? I was there. That's how I get them to call me or talk to them, right? And they said, no, what happened? I explained to another investor bought it. And you have, you know, a lot of times they know, but I said, you have 6 months. So don't worry. They might tell you you have 30 days. And if you don't follow the right guidelines, they could shorten that redemption period on you. So and I'll help you through that. What are you looking to do? Okay, I try to solve the problem. I don't want nothing to do with the house, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm in the house, I get to look at it to see if it's a good deal or not. And a lot of times I could give them a couple $1,000 and they'll deed the house to me. Okay, so let's say they do that. Now I give them a couple $1,000, they move out. I own the redemption rights currently. So even if someone bought it for 55,000, I have 6 months to redeem that property. Okay, I could clean up that house and list it on the MLS or sell it to another investor for $80,000. Out of that 80,000, I pay off that 55,000 plus interest, and that the person that bought it at the auction goes away, and the rest is my money. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? All right, so that's how it is. So we got a 6-month window to redeem that property, or to sell it, or whatever. Okay, so even if someone buys it at the auction, or they don't, or no one buys it, it goes back to the bank. The seller still has 6 months to redeem the property.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think do you like that? Do you think that's a benefit for you? Or would you prefer it not be a redemption period?
Oh, definitely a benefit. Yeah. And the reason why is because then I don't have to buy these properties at the auction. Okay, I could just go and chase the deed. You know, I could go chase that deed to get the deed from the owner, or from the siblings, or the someone that don't want her, that don't want the house. And now it costs me $1,000. Sometimes I get it for free. They just say, I'm working on one right now that he moved out of state, and he's going to deed me the house. I'm going to have it signed. This is a $140,000 house, and they only owe 85,000 on the mortgage. So it's a great deal. And I'm going to get it for $1, you know, and now I'm going to own it. If it's going to go to auction, this is pre-foreclosure. It goes to auction in 2 weeks. And then when it goes to auction, it doesn't matter if someone buys it or not. I got the right to redeem it. I don't have to come up with that 85,000. I could clean it up, put $5,000 into this house, or fix it as nice as I want, and sell it for 130. And then I just pay off that 85,000. The rest of the money's mine. And it only cost me, you know, the $1 plus the cleanup or fixing it up.
Where do you go to find out if you're, well, I know Illinois has a redemption period, but I'm not sure how long it is. Is there like, is it best to go like to the courthouse to find that information out and find out like when the actual auctions are? Because I think depending on different counties, there's different locations for auctions here.
Yeah. So I would first just call a title company, investor-friendly title company, get as much information out of them as you can, you know, about the foreclosure process and things like that. I would, you know, then find out where the live auctions are, ask around, Google it, all that good stuff, call the counties. And a lot of times they're going to get it confused with the tax auction. But you want to make sure they don't get that confused, and that you're dealing with the mortgage foreclosure auction. And yeah, so it's, you know, the overage. Sometimes people bid on a house. I had one that went to sale for it was a $300,000 house, went to sale for 70,000, and there was a $25,000 overbid. So I was able to get the deed from the owner and help her get that $25,000 overbid. And so I got the house for $1 pretty much, helped her get the 25,000, helped her relocate, and then I sold it for $160,000. So.
Wow, that's pretty good. When you close, do you have it as like a marketing fee? Or, you know, a couple of people, you know, they either do the assignment, marketing. I guess everybody does it a little bit different.
Yeah, assignment fee.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was talking to a couple people. They do the whole LLC deal, and then they say it's a marketing fee. Yeah, I guess it just depends on the structure and how,
Yeah.
you know, people are closing, and then, or they'll put it in a trust and then do it that way. But, you know, I guess it just depends on who you are, what you're doing, your exit strategy, who you work with, and how it's going to get done. So
yeah, if you and I were doing a deal together and I owned it, and I got it under contract, I signed it. Let's say we agreed to split it 50-50. And if I got paid 20 grand on the settlement statement, and it was assigned to me, then I would do a marketing fee to you outside of closing that you would sign for $10,000,
Gotcha.
so I could have some kind of record and 1099 you, unfortunately, because I don't want to get 1099 for all of it, or,
I have a question. So when you are when you get them to deed it to you, is that a quick? Did you say that was a quick claim deed, or are they giving you the warranty deed, or
No,
how?
it's actually a quick claim deed. But I have a title company that would do a quick check on the property for me and check everything out, make sure there's no other liens, this and that, make sure that I don't need, before I have them sign the deed, just because I want to make sure, if I get a deed from the husband and not the wife, I'm only going to own 50% of it, or I'm going to need her to clear up title. So I need to get everyone that, I bought many of properties on quick claim deeds, but you got to know what you're doing. You can't do that and without knowing what you're doing. I know a lady, I got a house, I wholesaled a house, a 2-family house in Detroit, and I bought it from the lady. She had it since 2015. I sold it to my buyer for whatever, and now just recently, I just found out yesterday, this happened like 2 months ago. She's owned it since 2015. The feds are calling the title company because she never was the rightful owner, because the person she bought it from in 2015 did a phony deed. So it's a little messy right now. I mean, we did everything right. The title company did everything right. I feel bad for my buyer. And so they're just getting to the bottom of it at this time. That stuff happens, unfortunately. It sucks.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know we're past time, but we could stay on if you guys want. If anyone has any other questions or any wins or anything you guys are working on, if you guys would, if you would put in the chat your name, and someone said I'm bald. I love that. If you put in your name and cell phone and the state you're in, I'm gonna put in, if you guys want to go to my Facebook page, it's TC Deals Detroit, and join it. I'm doing a flip as we speak, and I got about 12 different, like once a week, every couple times a week, I will walk through my flip and tell you what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it, all that good stuff. And so and then the Facebook is TC Deals Detroit. That's the Facebook group. If you're wholesaling a lot, or well, not necessarily a lot, if this is your business, I really suggest you get a Facebook group page. You're going to get a lot of buyers that come to that. You're going to get a lot of exposure. You get a Facebook group page, and I even done meetups, local meetups once a month. Anytime you get invited to do a meetup or to be on a panel or do something like that, it's nerve-wracking in the beginning. For me, it was anyway. But the more you do it, it's just getting your name out there. When I go to a meetup, I take a bandit sign on the back of it and the blank side, and I'll write in big letters, TC Deals Detroit, my phone number, and I'll put my email address, my Facebook page on there, and I carry that thing with me. And anytime I could get up to the microphone and pitch out a deal or something, I just say wholesale, 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 and I pull up my sign. I go, Todd Chunn, TC Deals. I got a few properties to sell, to get on my buyer's list. Give me a text message, and I will get you on my buyer's list, and And I just
Yeah, you just have to do it. I used to get so nervous speaking or any Zooms that I used to do. I'm like the Zoom queen now. Like, I
Yeah,
used to get, my hands used to get sweaty. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta talk. My heart used to pound. And
same.
now people laugh at me. They're like, look at you. You just come off your mic all the time and you're this or that. But one thing I've learned about this business is very personal. It's one of those things that you're gonna resonate with certain people. But
Yeah,
the more you come out of your shell and the more you resonate and you talk about your business, you get surprised the receptiveness that you get from others. It's amazing. You're like, wait, that's all I have to do is just talk and be me and say this or
yeah,
that because it works. It makes a difference.
yeah, 100%. And I was the same way 6 years ago. I used to be nervous and sweating, and I still go up there. I'm not nervous, but I don't, and I don't care anymore. If I don't talk, say the right words, or I stutter or something, it doesn't matter. It's who I am, and no one notices anyways, So yeah, I used to get the same way, sweat. Yeah, I just say be loud, make sure you want to be this, you want to be the guy that, or the gal that is people notices and sees. I wear these shirts that I got right here, TC Deals Detroit. I got 12 of them. I got the hat, I got the jacket, and anytime, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
wearing,
that's smart. That's smart. I'm working on a little project right now and it's wholesaler friendly type of thing. But long story short, you definitely have to be a walking billboard. I mean,
yeah,
people look at t-shirts and they'll ask you things like, oh, what is that? Oh, what is this? I mean, you get shirts, you wear something that says I buy houses or,
yeah,
little things like that. People will ask
yeah,
you a question, period. So I
yeah,
think that's awesome when if you're rocking your t-shirts and you got to have your business name, have all that together. I think it's so important when you're first starting, you get your name. I mean, you don't have to have all of those fancy whistles, but it is best when you start to have like something like you have your tagline thing down to have that going. So that way you don't have to backtrack and you start from the beginning advertising.
yeah, 100%. And I would say business cards aren't necessary, because if someone asks you for a business card, you can always say, oh, I just gave out my last one. Let me get your information. And then you just put them in your phone or write it down, because I would rather have control of that information, because I got a stack of business cards. I could tell you, I don't remember who they are. So this way you could put them in your phone. You could put a note in there, who they are, where you remember them from, what they do, why they buy, all that good stuff. So definitely I would do that.
How often do you have them ask you, like, do you have a website? Like when you're calling on the pre-foreclosures and the absentee owners, do you ever get that they ask you, well, oh, do you have a website I can reference? Like, do you have one for your wholesaling separate from your realtor business?
I don't have one for any of my businesses. I don't ever
Oh,
get it. I don't ever get it. you know, Especially, if someone has a pretty house and they want to sell it, they might ask you. But when people have problems, or if they get to know me, just like I'm sure if they get to know you, when they start asking you about your website, a lot of times it's because, and not saying they just, for some reason, they're not connecting with you, or they don't trust you for some reason, or
mhm.
um, not all the time, because some people, that's just the way they are.
Right,
But
exactly. Those
but
ones that are very cut and dry. It's what's your email? What's
yeah,
your website address? Do you have a business license? This and that. But that's what I was saying. It's such a personal business that people
yeah,
resonate with who you are.
yeah. And I wouldn't get along with those type of people, probably anyway. If someone's like that, I would try my best. Not that I wouldn't get along. I don't think I'm going to be able to win them over. And that's what, people are going to do business with people who they like and trust, right? And that's our job. But yeah, I don't have I probably got a website I got free through joining a group, but it hasn't done me any favors. I don't tell anyone about it. I tell them I got a Facebook group page and I train a lot of people and I try to help people and this and that. And that's pretty much it. And I am licensed, so I'll show my license, and stuff like that but very rare. I never have anyone ask me those questions.
Okay, good. No, this has been good. Is this, like I said, this is my first time. I don't know about if everybody else are regulars, but is this something you do all the time? I just happen to find it on Meetup. Is this
Yeah.
a regular thing or just that whenever you have time, or what is this group mainly about?
Every Wednesday I do this. Next Wednesday, the 20th, I think that's a Wednesday, right? Well, anyways, on September 20th, I am doing a live, I'm going to be doing a live meetup that's going to be going to be live, on Zoom also. And, about wholesaling. So it's going to be a live interaction type deal. I've done series on wholesaling, like part 1, 2, 3, 4, like in the beginning, how do you get leads? It's on our YouTube page. You can actually go to Mark Maupin YouTube, and you can see a bunch of videos that we've done live, and we had different speakers on there, contractors, title companies, attorneys, wholesaler panels, and things like that.
Where is it? I'm sorry. You said you have videos on YouTube. Can you put the link in the
Yeah.
chat? What is it under? What's your channel?
I'm gonna put it in there right
Oh,
now.
okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yep, I'll do that. And then let's see. Yeah, Mark, let's see, what does he have? Mark Maupin. I'm gonna go to YouTube, Mark Maupin. And Mark Maupin's like a partner of mine that we do a lot of media stuff together. He handles all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just show up. But yeah, I got my information in there. I see a lot of people put your information. I'm gonna save it. Anytime someone has a question about anything, you're struggling on anything, feel free to text me first, would be great. And and then I could respond as soon as I can. I do own, just to give you an idea, a couple of things I do. I got a few different businesses. I own a dumpster company here in the Detroit area, where if you ever, like if you're flipping a house and you need to clean out a house, I have rubber wheel dumpsters. I got about 15 of them. That's kind of what I do. Instead of buying rental properties, I buy dumpsters. And every time the dumpster moves, I make money.
Oh, that's a good business. I was looking at some of I forgot what what is it? Raptors? I forgot all that. I probably sound ridiculous right now, but does yours have the lift gate in the back?
No. Mine's just a big box. Like I got 30 yarders, 20 yarders, and 10 yarders, and you fill them up. Some of them dump themselves. I press a button and it dumps it out. Other ones we got a block and chain, and we just hook it up at the dump to one of the bulldozers, and they pull the shit out.
Oh, that's a good side. That's a good side business right there.
Yeah.
Especially right now, I mean, that's always needed.
So I bought the dumpster company. I struggled when COVID hit. But I said, I used to order dumpsters a lot. I used to do like 12 fix and flips at one time, me and an old partner of mine, and, driving ourselves crazy, trying to work with contractors. I'm still wholesaling. Long story short, I knew a good dumpster guy, talked to him, and I just thought about it. And all of a sudden I see a business is for sale, a dumpster company. And it's like 150,000, bunch of trucks, a bunch of 2 trucks, and like 12 dumpsters, and a book of business. So I'm looking into it, trying to run the numbers, figuring it out. So I went to my private lender and I said, look, I'm looking to buy a dumpster company, this and that. This is what I need. And so he would, let's say he gave me, I got it for a little less than 150. So I did a land contract with the seller, and I got this down payment through my private lender. So it was zero money out of pocket. And now I have 2 new trucks, and replaced a lot of the dumpsters. Got about 5 newer dumpsters and a bunch of the older ones. And now it's starting to run. I almost got everyone paid off, so it's almost paid off completely. And I've thought about selling it, and I think I'm just gonna keep it. I'm looking to buy one of those self-serve car washes. I want to buy a laundromat. I want those
Oh
businesses.
gosh, let me find out. You want to do all those on a owner carry? Isn't
Oh,
it crazy? Isn't it crazy when you started this, right? You start looking at everything on an owner carry, like, wait, can we do a contract on that? Let me, can I wrap this for you? What's your interest rate? Oh, you got 4. Okay, let's do 6. Let me wrap it for you. Your mind thinks in a whole different pattern.
100%. Yeah, everything I want to me, and zero money out of my pocket is like you're giving me something, right? And that's how I look at it. And yeah, so that's just trying to get. I got a driver, full-time driver. I actually roll dumpsters early in the morning. I get up at 5 and I'm out there at 6 a.m. Me and my driver, when he's busy. I thought about hiring another driver, but it just isn't wise. And I can't try, having that driver is the key. Having a good driver, because I don't have to worry about him. And I know he's going to take care of my trailers and my truck. And it was hard to find him. And now I got him. I pay him well, and I won't let him work weekends. I make sure he has weekends off. And I work the weekends. I don't care. I like it. I like doing it. But let me tell you, from my buyer's list. So who calls me? When I go to a meetup, I tell them my dumpster company, TC Dumpsters, right? That's the name. It's you ditch, we pitch. You ditch.
Oh gosh, the buyers are booking the deals, the
So
trucks.
exactly. So when I get a property in a certain area, I just go to my dumpster company QuickBooks and I start putting in zip codes, and I find out all the ones they hired me for dumpsters, and I start calling those guys and say, hey man, and even when I'm talking to them, and I could go back to the addresses and see what they bought it for. I could see what they sold it for, see what they're doing, so it's a lot of good information that's really helped out also, and I just,
Yeah.
the first year I didn't even think of it. Then I'm like, man, these guys, because when they do call me, I take all the phone calls when people want to order a dumpster, because it's just part of business. A lot. Yeah, it's because if you only have 15 dumpsters, you got to coordinate, where's this dumpster, how's this dumpster, and all this other stuff. And it comes second nature to me. I couldn't imagine trying to train someone how to do that. But I always talk to them, get them on my buyer's list all day long, see what they're looking for. And they come back to me, for dumpsters.
Yeah, I think that it's best when you're adding on businesses, if you really truly are going to stay in the whole real estate thing, when you have uh like businesses that you can add on that complement each other, as well. Like I also do notary, real estate closings, loan docs, title companies call me, that's a side gig as well. So I
Yeah.
get to, I just build my list. I get to meet title officers, escrow officers, and things of that nature. Plus I meet the customers, people that are looking for other properties. So it helps out so much when you start linking everything together, and then your eyes open up, and then, so yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Something I've done in the beginning, because I done so many fix and flips and met so many good contractors. I get people that call me all the time and ask me, do you know a good roofing company? Do you know this person? Do you know a good title? I like when they do that, because I'm always on their mind. And I try to refer them good people. I always tell them, like, or a property management company, I might give them 2 or 3. I said, but I want you to vet them out. I don't, they've done well for me in the past. And, in that way, people think it just helps you build your brand. People come to you and ask you, Todd, do you have this? Do you have that? So when you're talking about title companies, just same thing with title companies. I get people, I set something up with a title company. Anyone I refer them to, they give me some money. I got a referral program.
Yep. You gotta ask. You gotta ask and set
Yeah.
it up and keep it going, because people will pay you referral fees. I do the same thing. I give people, the whole free trial to like batch leads and prop stream and
Yeah.
affiliate links. I mean, the affiliate game that's just money when you sleep. You have to really think outside the box and say to yourself, okay, who am I dealing with? What are they going to need? People will pay you referral fees. They
Yeah.
will.
If I got a $200 referral fee with a title company and I do 30 deals a month through that, you know, that's a pretty good paycheck for free money, in my opinion, right? So, yeah, so and then when you're talking, just like you said, you deal with a lot of title companies. The key is trying to get their buyers list somehow, some way. Tell them, you know, have them send you all the investors that are buying houses. Any deal that blows up at the table, the closing table, I want to know about it. I want to save that deal. I want to come in and get that deal, right? So,
Right. Oh yeah. Any kind of way. You know, any way you can get it, I feel like you need to talk about it. When people are talking about real estate, hey, you know what? I step in there and I start speaking about it. That was my thing, not speaking and talking out loud and telling people everything. I just started not being afraid anymore. Like, hey, look, this is what I do. I do this, and that. My network grew much quicker when I started doing that versus just being quiet and going into room. You can see now how much I'm talking, right? I mean, if you met me a while back when I started this, I'd probably be the quietest person on Zoom, but it's good for the soul. It's good for the brain when you're networking and you're just talking about it, especially with other like-minded individuals in the industry. I think that it helps.
absolutely. And I think if you, even, you know, if you try to teach what you know, that makes you better. And also helping people even for free. I help so many new wholesalers. We might split the deal, but I'm training them, and without, you know, I'm making money, so I guess it's not for free, you know. But if they call me with a question or what should I do here, I'll help them, no problem. It always comes back to you. But the one thing, when COVID hit, I got the mask, the blue mask, and on it I put TC sells cheap houses. That was the best talking piece that any gas station I went into, party store, liquor store, everywhere I went, people will ask me, what does that mean? You know, so if you're going to get a shirt, instead of say TC buys houses or Joe buys houses, I would say Joe sells cheap houses. Everyone wants to buy a cheap house. Okay. And the buyers is the key to this business, but I would not say go find the buyers first. I would say find a good deal first. Your buyers will come, but having a killer buyers list is the key. You know, picking up the phone and selling a deal in 2 seconds is the best.
And not being afraid to also work with other people. Like you mentioned that JVing on a deal. How do you, I mean, if you don't mind talking about it, like, do you ever hire people to either comp for you besides the VAs? Like if somebody brought you a deal, if I said, hey, guess what? I got a deal for you out there in Detroit. Do you want a JV on it? Do you like to go 50-50, or it depends on if I have the full buyer and I'm doing dispo, I got the guy with, I mean, how do you typically work that?
Well, for me, I'm gonna go 50-50 if someone calls me. Okay. Now, if I just had someone call me that has a buyer on a deal that I'm selling, and I'm not gonna go 50-50 on that, because I could sell the deal myself. So I just get to the bottom of it. I said that I know you got a buyer, you know, is he out of state? Yes, he's out of state. And I said, okay, does he usually pay you how does he usually pay you? I know you're not working for him for free, you know, because he was trying to get me to reduce my price $5,000. I know the game, you know, he's gonna reduce me $5,000 and he's gonna get 5 over here, which I'm happy. I don't care about it. It depends on the deal. If it's a deal I know I could sell, if it's a piece of crap deal I'm having a hard time selling, I might do that, you know. But normally I could sell this deal myself. So I said, look, after talking to him, he said he's gonna probably pay me $1,500. And so I was trying, you know, this and that. So I said, look, on something like this, you know, I could sell it myself. If you got a good buyer, if he's paying all closing costs and we can close by this time and it's cash, this and that, And I don't care how much money he pays you outside. Hopefully he's paying you $40,000. It doesn't matter to me. I could make sure you get 20 at this price. I can make sure I pay you $2,500. He said, that'd be more than fair. I'm happy. He like, boom. And we got the deal done today. Right. But can't knock him for trying to make more. I would do the same thing. So, but when I'm doing a deal with someone else, I'm going to charge, it's going to be 50% of the deal.
Oh, well, that's good to know. You know, you were talking about the Facebook groups. You can get lost in those Facebook groups, man. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many groups. I signed up to one group. I think I just put in wholesaling something. As soon as I got in the group, I kid you not, I didn't even get a chance to read my second comment in there. And they were DMing me, trying to sell me like, you know, a $5,000-$10,000 course. I'm like, I said, well, I just signed up to your group. It's a free group, correct? You know, and they're just like, oh, let us send you this and let us send you that. Like, give me some time. Let me see
Yeah.
what your group is about. Let me look at your videos. I said, you know, give me a week or so. I'm not looking for that type of course, but you have to be very careful. There's a lot of pretenders too on there with these deals. Some are real, some are not. Some people, and there's also some great leads
Yeah.
and information that you can use in there by using the search tool. I've used that search tool quite often if I'm looking for somebody in a certain area, you
True.
know, or something like that. But you see a lot of bird dog offers on there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's a great tip. If it's a Facebook group that they're trying to sell me something and it's all about selling, I wouldn't belong to that one. But yeah, no, yeah, you could just search title companies and you'll get attorneys or
yes.
contractors.
I'm
And
like, the search tool gives you all the sauce. I mean, I'm like, what? If I'm looking for, I don't care what it is, how new you are, how experienced you
yeah,
are. If it's something, I even put it in there if I just want to read back a couple years back to see what has changed from the
yeah.
way they're discussing a certain thing. So, but yeah, that's a pretty good one too.
And here's a tip that with I've noticed there's a lot of new wholesalers, new virtual wholesalers, and they're coming in the Detroit area. And Detroit is its own animal, okay? Meaning you can see a house on one block being the worst block in the world, and then 2 blocks over, it's really nice. So they're pulling comps in different either areas or blocks and things like that, and it's totally different. So they're locking these houses up for so high. So if someone, and I get people call me and say, can you help me sell this deal? If they pitched it out to the world already, I'm not going to help them. All right. Because now it's going to make me look like I'm daisy chaining or I'm trying to do this, you know. So they know if they want me to help them, they got to reach out to me first because I want to, because I got to say maybe my reputation, you know, when I pitch out a deal is, you know, that I got a deal that, you know, that makes sense. Not that I'm trying to sell someone else's deal. And I'm not going to sell it for more than what, if they did pitch it out, I would never sell it for more than what they pitched it out. But anyways, long story short, a lot of these deals you might see on Facebook that you're like, there's no, and you know the area, saying there's no way, that is way off. I will write that address down. I'll put a note in my CRM to call this thing in 30 days. I'll call the owner in 30 days and see if they ever sold their house. 9 times out of 10, they have not. And I'll say, well, I seen someone had it under contract. They were going to buy it. And I don't, you know, what happened? Well, we're still waiting to close. When are you supposed to close? We're supposed to close Friday. Okay. Is it okay if I call you on Friday to see how that closing went? Boom. All right. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get talking to that seller after the deal died out because there's no way he's gonna sell it anyway. And then I'll try to get it for less because I'll explain to the seller that, you know, this property, the reason why it didn't close is it was too high and blah, blah, and I'll do my thing and try to lock it up, you know, from there. But that's just something that, because a lot of, I mean, I'm telling, not that it's $10,000 over. I mean, these are 40, 50, 60 grand too high, you know, is what I'm seeing.
Well, I think that people or somebody I seen in the chat starting out, I mean, I'm not, by no means is, I'm learning every day. But what I have learned is you have to really know your numbers, okay? That's what I have found, learning to comp properties appropriately and looking at the ARV, having a proper spreadsheet and putting in all the numbers makes a substantial difference. So you don't have to sit there and hand do everything. So I have a spreadsheet that calculates everything out, the ARV, the rental, you just plug it all in. I think that makes a big difference, but I don't know what people are doing that aren't using those tools. They're just relying on Zillow's estimates and stuff like that.
Would you be willing to share that? The way that I've been doing it is I use, like you said, Zillow, the Zillow's estimates. I use the MLS as some of this. I kind of just hop around in a bunch of websites and then just compare the best and go from there.
I do it by square footage. So if you look at the recently sold properties and what they sold per square foot, you can average it out by that. So let's say you have the property the target property, and then you find 3 sold properties. You'll look at those, the price per square foot that those 3 sold for, and then you use the average of that and multiply the square footage of the house by that to get what the property could be worth.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. The one thing also, let's say you do that for yourself, and let's say you come up, the ARV is 150,000. Okay. So before you make an offer, or even, you should be talking to that seller and ask that seller, because you could make a deal a lot better for you. If I go to the seller, hi, Mrs. Jones, I'm having a tough time trying to figure out what your house is worth, all fixed up. Let's say you had your house fixed up with granite, new kitchen, because you told me it had an old kitchen, and updated bathrooms. It was all painted, beautiful, nice floors. The roof was good. You already got good windows, central air, just like HGTV style. What do you think your house is worth? Remember, you already figured it's worth 150. She might, or he might say, if I had this thing all fixed up, I know I could sell it. I would probably sell it for 120,000. You just gained 30 grand. So you could, if they told me that, I'd say, you know what? I was thinking it's going to be right around 110, but I like your number better. 120 sounds right. Boom. Now that's your starting point. And then you can even go through with the seller of the things that need to be done. I know you said it needs a new roof. If you were going to put a roof on, what do you think it's going to cost to put a roof on? Because I'm going to have to put a roof on there. They might say $10,000. You say, okay, yeah, I know a few people, they'll probably be around 8,000. Okay. So you got that, you write that down. A new kitchen, what do you think? Boom, you go over this, they're giving you everything already. So now you just calculate those repairs. So if it's worth 120, I added up all these repairs, it's $40,000. So I gotta be at $80,000, but I gotta make a little profit. Remember, you got a house worth 150 that you're thinking. So you might be able to lock that house up for $65,000, right? And hopefully, even if it's worth 120, that's a pretty good lockup anyways. You're almost at 50% LTV. So when I pitch out a deal to the buyers, I will tell them what the house needs, but I won't tell them the amount of money for the repairs, because what I'm going to cost me to fix up a house is different from 10 other people that are going to fix up the house. Some people have a team, inside team that does the work. Some people buy it and they do the work themselves, so they save money. Some big companies use expensive people, and something that cost me 50 will cost them 75, 80,000. So don't give out the price of how much the repairs are. Just tell them what needs to get done. if you know it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
used
also
to
wanted
give
to
the price.
I-
Yeah.
yeah, I also my name is Raphael, by the way. I wanted to chime in because I see that you guys are kind of talking about ARV and analyzing deals. So I don't know if any of you guys are actually familiar, but there's this application called Deal Check, and it's basically like a one-stop shop to analyze any kind of deal. So whether it's a rental, flip, burr, you can plug in the exact strategy that you think is best for a property, and then you can actually customize the templates. They already have some predetermined templates on there where you can literally break down everything to a T. So you can have a wholesale analysis on a property where you can plug in your purchase price, the investor purchase price, their closing costs, your closing costs. You can itemize the closing costs, so you can put a percentage. If they're getting hard money, you can put in their terms, their LTV, LTC. You can put in, if their rehab is getting financed, repair budget. You can itemize the repairs. You can put in cap rates, or
Yep.
it'll actually spit out the cap rates, ROIs. If it's a flip, all the different things that you need, and you can even print that out and show that to your buyers, or you can use that and have that application on your phone. You go into a seller's appointment and you know exactly what your numbers have to be. So if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of different program. Deal Check is the one you're talking about. And there's
Yeah.
out there, but yeah, I forget the one I used to use. But so what I want to tell you this, for new wholesalers, you could get lost in checking out every deal before you make. My suggestion is you got to talk to the sellers first. Forget about checking the value of the house, all this, because you got to find those 4 pillars. What they want for the house, are they motivated, and their timeline and the condition of the property. Figure those things out first. And then, because I very, very rarely will call somebody, get all the information, and give them a number over the phone at the first phone call. I've done it before, but it's not my motto. My motto is, all right, thank you. Let me do a little homework and let me figure this out. Are you going to be available? You could say later today at 8 o'clock at night, or you could say what time tomorrow works well for you, the same time. Make the appointment to call them back, and you'll have some good information for them. Boom. Then you go do that homework that you just talked about. You got someone that is waiting for you to call them back, and you already know they want to sell and why they want to sell and the condition of the property and things like that. So that is, and then sometimes I call them back and I say, I had a few more questions, and now I'm just trying to, build some more rapport, ask some more questions, and keep them hanging some more. So, and then I'll say, okay, can you give me a couple more hours and I'll call you back? Boom. So, so that's my strategy of how I do it. But you're going to waste a lot of time if you're doing all that work before you even get a hold of them, or you even know if they want to buy it, or sell or not.
I absolutely agree on that, and I don't want to take up too much time because I know other people might have questions, but I typically find, I don't know if you guys might have the same issues, but sometimes, because I'm the same way, I just think that you can easily spend way too much time evaluating a deal, and then it kind of takes away time from actually building rapport with the seller and getting the information you need that'll help you close the deal. Now, the issue that sometimes I come across is flaky sellers. So I have a hard time getting people back on the phone. Whether that be I can't get them at the right time, or they're just occupied, or they have a lot of things going on. So what methods do you use to set the expectation at the end of the call to kind of make it a lot easier for you to get back in touch with that seller on their terms?
Yeah. I look at it a couple of ways. When I get a seller that is hard to reach, sometimes I like that because I'm not going to give up. And that means if Jen's calling that same seller, she might give up and there's gonna be less competition, you know. So I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna send them a text message and say, you know, you know, as long as you, if you set up an appointment with them and say, look, I'm gonna call you back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Is that a good time for you? And they say yes. Say, great, awesome. All right, I'll call you at 2. Boom. And you call them, go on your iPhone. That's what I do. I go on my iPhone, I set an alarm to call Mrs. Jones tomorrow at 2 p.m. Boom, it sets the alarm for me and it tags it and tells me exactly what to do. All right, boom, it pops up. I will put it on my calendar. I put it on my iPhone so I don't forget it. I put it in my CRM. That's the type of person I need. I do so many things. I need that. So I call them at 2 o'clock. They don't answer. So I dial the number. I get a voicemail. I hang up and I double tap them. I call them right back. A lot of times they'll answer the second time. You can even triple tap them, call them right back. Boom. If they don't answer the third time, hi, Mrs. Jones, it's Todd calling from TC Deals. Sorry, I know I was supposed to call you at 2. Give me a call back. I got some good news for you. Boom. Then I send them a text message, a nice text message. I got some good news for you. Call me as soon as you're available. Boom. Right? And then a couple hours goes by, I'll do the same thing again. I just stay on top of them, just try to reach them. And then, you know, you might do it tomorrow. You might call them a couple of times the next day, and then you might give them a day break, and then you might try them again. You're going to catch them. You know, when people have problems, they're in foreclosure, going into foreclosure, divorce, death, they got situations going. They're not thinking always in the right frame of mind. So you just got to stay on top of them, you know, but I think they're good leads, you know.
Definitely. My motto's always been, I always make it a priority to at least call someone at least 6 times. You know, and at least 6 times. So typically I use Trello as my main CRM because visually I'm able to move a lead, you know, from left to right, so I can see my progress from like new first, new second, new third, you know, hot lead 1, follow up 1, 2, or whatever. And then I can put notes on every single call that I do. I only ask that because sometimes I do get lucky. I'm able to reach someone after, you know, 1 or 2 months of them not responding. Other times I've actually had one who got a little hostile. So I always thought just to ask to see what's working for you guys, because
Yeah.
where me following up, my main strategy is just persistence. But I didn't know if you guys had a, you know, specific thing you guys were doing.
Right. No, awesome. I think you should even do more than 6 times, you know. Just, you know, when things get slow, like every quarter you go through the ones that you kind of wrote off, you know, because you just didn't catch them at the right time before, and eventually you will. And when you talk, and I'm sure you do this, you put all the notes in your CRM. If they tell you they're going to take their grandson to the football game, or they got a dog named Sally, you know, 3 months later when you talk, say, how you doing, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually how's your grandson football going or whatever? How's your this? How's that? You know, that's just, you know, building rapport and just getting them to talk about, you know, getting them comfortable with you and things like that. So I always make anytime I can make a good note. I do that with buyers also. Anytime I could put a note in there about a buyer that I learned that night when I met them, where I met them at, how I met them, because I won't remember. I will not remember personally unless I have that note in there. Awesome. Awesome. So anyone interested in Airbnbs?
I've considered buying some down in Florida, but I haven't actually made that jump yet.
Okay.
I have an interest. I'm looking at like more of the arbitrage
Yep.
setup, and I just haven't made the leap to start those phone calls. I got some like letter templates and all these things. You know, the whole deal of asking people, you know, will they do corporate housing and basically have them rent it to you so you can Airbnb it. I have not done one of those, but it's on my list. I'm like, okay, I have to get to that. If I could just get one, that'll make that
Yeah.
will also help too.
Yeah, I have, the reason I mentioned this is I had, one of my callers reached out to a landlord just out of the blue about something. And he said, no, I'm not looking, I'm looking to rent it. So he went into, would you like the Airbnb arbitrage? And the guy said, yes, he would love the idea. And it's in, Joe, St. Clair Shores. It's in St. Clair Shores by Jefferson, which is not far from the water. I think it would be perfect. And the rental that he would want is from, our first conversation was $2,000. He would probably rent it to an individual for $1,600. So it's not too far off. I'm sure I could get him down some, but the only expense is really furnishing it, right? I don't know the Airbnb model, but I know enough people that do. So I might wholesale it to somebody else, actually, wholesale this, or I might bring them in as a partner to learn, even if I don't make a lot of money, even if I make 25% of the money, just to learn the system, how it works. So, down the road, you know, but there's people killing it. I know some areas of Detroit that are close to downtown that are not very nice. And there's people doing Airbnbs in these areas. They fixed up the house nice and they're killing it. I mean, freaking killing it. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month that they're getting off of Airbnb. So I was just wondering what your guys' opinion was.
I'm pretty scared to hop into Detroit. Still kind of looking at it, but still scared.
Yeah. So I grew up in Detroit. That's where I'm originally from. And my previous company of 23 years, I used to refinance houses before the mortgage crash. And I would run 11 appointments a day. We used to go to their house. We never did adjustable rates. That's one thing. That's really why the mortgage, everything crashed back then. But I used to run 11 appointments a day, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6:30, every day, house to house to house to house, refinancing. And that's how I learned the streets of Detroit. Everything was in Detroit. I'd go to every house. And which I'm very thankful for, because I got to learn the zip codes, the blocks, the streets, did that for years. And Detroit there's a lot of money to be made in the cities like that. But I understand what you're saying, Joe. Not a lot of people, if anyone has a question about Detroit, they call me every day, ask me about this neighborhood, this zip code, this street, this block, this address, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm totally interested in the whole Airbnb thing. From my understanding, you basically, you're reaching out to people that are either on Zillow that are renting out properties. Similarly to how you do direct to seller, it's more you're going direct to the owners and just telling them what it is. And you get them, you get a lease agreement. Typically, I think it's a lease agreement that you type up, and it's certain verbiage that you have to put in there, and let them know, from what I've been reading, that you need to let them know that you're going to be obviously renting it out and listing it on Airbnb up front. And they said that that's when it's much easier, when you're just open and honest about that's what you're doing. That, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing with it. Okay, you're going to get this fee. I'm going to be putting new furniture. That's the biggest cost when I was costing it out, is the furniture cost, and getting that all done. But if you're running it through like a line of credit, or however you're working that out, I think you could do it. But I think it's just taking the leap. And I think once you get that first one, and that one person tells you, yes, I'd love to do that, it's probably on and popping after that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, being honest is the only way to do it. And you let them know the same thing. Look, it's going to be clean every time someone leaves. I'm not going to allow them to have parties. I'm not going to allow this. We have rules, this and that. And every time I'm gonna have someone come and clean the property. It's gonna be, you're gonna love it. You're not gonna have a problem. And, so there's so many different ways of doing it. Yeah, for sure. I know there was a chat, where someone said, how do you guys manage wholesaling during winter months and snow? Good question. I don't, I drive, I still go to the houses. You could do virtual. The one driving for dollars when it snows is a great day. You could go into a neighborhood and after a good snow, and you could write down all the houses that no one shoveled the snow. No, there's no tire tracks. And you go wait 4 days, or you go even wait 4 or 5 days after and see. So you see there's no activity going on at that house. So those are good ones to put on your list to skip trace and call for sure. Awesome.
Well, this has been fun. Yeah, this is cool. You do it every Wednesday. How long have you been doing this thing every Wednesday?
Maybe a year.
Oh gosh. So there's a lot of this repeat information for you.
Everyone's a little bit different. Sometimes I'll have some topics and like I went over a purchase agreement. We got that. I went over an assignment agreement. I actually given out my purchase agreements and assignment agreements, and what else I've done, talked about bandit signs, all how to get deals and all kinds of ways of getting deals, how to transaction coordinate, and just name the time. There's only so much you could talk about, and and I learned from other people. You guys, there might be a good tip in there, and or something.
Always. I don't care who you talk to, you're always learning tips. Even when I'm learning from people that are much more experienced and been in this game a very long time, I'll even see them get tips from newbies. So like, oh, I didn't even know that. Is because there's so much technology and there's so many new things out there that everybody has their own way and we all learn from each other. I think that's substantial, but I definitely don't want to hog your stage here. But I did want to ask you, how do you feel about I don't hear you talk about much going straight to realtors or agents. Do you like that strategy of writing up the 70-30 70% ARV offers to agents that are listing distressed properties, and then finessing making a list and then nurturing the list, and having them try to send you listings and stuff like that? How do you feel about that whole strategy?
I like the strategy. No, I haven't been doing it. I haven't, I'm doing so many other things. So I just haven't been able to add it. I know a few people, that's all they do, and they do really, really well. It's just another way of doing it. I think there's less competition doing it, but it's getting big now. I mean, more people are, especially with Privy. A lot of people are using Privy for that, from my understanding. But always connecting with agents though is a good thing. I only do it when I'm in meetups or I go to a closing or something like that. But no, I think it's a good way of doing it. But it's just something that I don't need to do it at this time, I guess. I don't need to add it.
Yeah, I think there's so many ways to slice a cake. It's just,
Yeah.
how are you going to slice it this time? There's so many things to do. You just got to pick your thing. They always say try to stay focused on a couple areas or one, and master that, versus it's easy to get into every pocket. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go direct to seller. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go door knocking. I'm going to, when you're trying to do 5, 6, 7 methods, it can get a little out of control, I think, for some people.
Right. And I always teach, if you're by yourself and you're brand new, you should, in my opinion, you can do whatever you want, but driving for dollars is a good way of doing it. You drive on a Sunday. I usually don't call on Sundays. I work on Sundays, but I don't call. I just don't feel right. I don't know why. A lot of people call and they do well. It's just not me. But I always drive for dollars on a Sunday or early in the morning when I can't be making phone calls. And Or if you have an appointment, you go early to the appointment and you drive that neighborhood. And then you skip trace it and you make phone calls and you text them. And that's what I suggest for beginners, brand new people. It's the cheapest way. You could go to meetups for sure. You could get with another wholesaler that seems like they've been doing it a great way, you know, or doing well. And you could see how you could drive with them. Can I work with you, you know, for free? Can I go on appointments with you? I had one guy every Saturday and Sunday because he worked during the week. Every Saturday and Sunday, he would come to my house. I said, well, I'll be leaving my house at 6 a.m. on Saturday. He'll be there and I'll go pick up some dumpsters, deliver dumpsters. We'll drive neighborhoods. We'll go by. I'll just run them all day long, you know? So, you know, that's a good way of doing it, you know, without joining, spending 10, 15, 20, 30 grand on a program. That's a good way of doing it too, if you get the right program. So you just got to be careful. But the key is being proactive, taking action, picking up the phone and making phone calls or text blasting. There's people that just do that. I think if you know how to do the phones, the text blasting's easy, you know.
What are some of your favorite applications or websites? Doesn't specifically have to be wholesaling, could just be something that helps you keep track of what's going on.
Well, I'm a simple guy. I use the free version of Podio. That's how I keep track of everything. I tried all the CRMs. They're all good. The CRM is only as good as the person using it. And I had the best CRM out there called Left Main Salesforce. It costs $5 grand a year or $5 grand to get into it. It could do everything for you. And I paid the money, but it's not me. It's not what I'm good at, you know? And so I finally canceled it. I wasted probably 10 grand with that thing. So I'm back to my old ways of writing, just using Podio. And I got a VA that skip traces for me and he keeps me organized. So I just talk to my VA through my phone and say, make this appointment for me, remind me of this, do this. Do this, and that's my CRM is my VA actually. So you got to figure out what works for you. You know, I'm not a tech guy. I know how to do stuff on like purchase agreements, e-signing, all that easy stuff, but I want to be on the phones talking to people and meeting people, things like that.
Any tips on public speaking for people that are extremely shy?
Oh God, go ahead. I can give them all.
Yeah, my first thing is just get out there and do it, because I'm the most not well spoken. One-on-one and within a customer, it's totally different. But going in front of people, getting nervous, sweating, all that is the way I was. And but yeah, you just got to do it and you'll get over it. What were you gonna say, Jen?
It definitely is the whole just do it, okay? You have to just do it. I'm telling you, I would be shaking in my boots to even talk on a Zoom where nobody could even see me. I'm like, why am I so nervous? Oh, my hands would shake and everything because I knew, especially if somebody called my name and they were like, all right, Jennifer, you know, you're up. Tell us where you're from. What do you do? Where market are you in? My heart would pound and pound. I could not wait to close my mic. I would make it real quick, short, sweet, and simple. What I would do is one day I was just like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to do it, man. And I just came off my mic and I just like, yeah, hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm in the Virginia market. You know, I just did it. And after a while, now it's like, you almost can't even get me to shut up, as you can see. Like, I'm just like, hey, where are you from? And what's going on? I just started not letting the situation intimidate me or no matter who was in the room, I didn't worry about it anymore. I focused on myself, and that made a huge difference. You just look what you're doing now. What are you talking about? You're using your mic. You're coming off your mic now. You just asked 2 questions back to back, so you're already taking the step. So you
Yeah.
just gotta walk on faith, man, and do it. And over time, it'll just get better, and you'll just be a pro after. No more sweaty palms, no more nervousness, and you're gonna rock it out.
Yep, absolutely. Dan Carnegie has a speaking course, and that a lot of people do. I forget there's a name. I was trying to find it real fast, but can't. If I said the name, everyone's probably heard of it. I knew a few people that went through it, and they did, I knew one guy that was teaching this class. He was one of the coaches, and he was the worst speaker I ever saw. So if he could do it, anyone could do it. And he was teaching it. So that was really, when I heard he was teaching it, I said, that gave me some hope right there. But I forget what they call it. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyways, I always thought about doing one of those classes, but if you listen to enough podcasts and listen to people and do things like that, and like Jen said, you just got to get out there and do it. You'll just get better and better and better. And before you kind of enjoy it, I'm not at the point that I enjoy it, but eventually.
Well, sometimes I feel like now that I've come out of my shell, sometimes when I go to a podcast or I'm listening in a room, I kind of just want to be a listener only. So the only other flip side is when you like to talk, people will see you and then they'll call you up, and while you're just chilling, like, yeah, I'm just gonna listen today. So that's the only other thing I don't like, is sometimes it's like, all right, you want to come up and speak? I'm like, oh man. So you know how that goes.
Got it, for sure. Yeah, but going to those meetups, Joe, would be, I know you're local. Have you been to any meetups here local?
I just started scheduling a lot of meetups. As a matter of fact, my first meetup was supposed to be tomorrow, but they canceled it. Where were you on this meeting here?
Where was it? Which meetup was that?
It was a Detroit meetup. Give me 1 second. I gotta look it up. It is the REIA of Detroit.
Why did they cancel it? Anyway, that's another, I'll figure it out. No big deal.
The speaker canceled.
Oh, I see. Awesome.
Oh, Yennefer, it's her first time. I know you're listening in. Yeah, my first time too. So, hey, we're newbies, but I do have to run here. I got to get my daughter together here. She has school. We got to get up early in the morning, but
Awesome.
I'm sure I'll
I
come
have a
back on a
question.
Wednesday. What do you just schedule it in your room? I don't even know how I came across it. Is it the same link, the meetup link, that it's just pre-scheduled in there when you do it, or what?
Yeah, it's the same link.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's in my email. I'll just go back to the same one. I'm sure I'll see everybody around again. Have a good evening. I'm going to pop out of here. And until then, everyone, stay productive, stay positive, close some deals. Don't be nervous, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I am signing off. Good night.
Good night, Jen.
Good night and good luck.
Thank you.
Good night.
Jennifer, what do you got?
So I wanted to ask, oh my God, did it just slip my mind? Because I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many things going on in my head. So, I'm sorry, it's just slipped. I don't know why.
No problem.
It came on when I read something, it came up, and then suddenly it was like, it slipped. So
You'll probably come to you in a second. For
yeah.
sure. Yep, just if it comes to you, just speak it out. A couple more minutes here. Any other questions or anything else I might be able to help from anybody?
Yes, this is Colette from Detroit. I'm a newbie just like Yennefer, and what I wanted to know was my husband and I will probably start investing in real estate. October and November. And I was just wondering what would be the best property for us to start with. Should it be a fix and flip, or should it be a purchase for a rental?
I would say if it is a fix and flip, you got to be very careful because the market has shifted and we don't know where it's going. Okay. So the only way you would do it is if you know your numbers, if you know the area, if you're getting a great deal on it, all that good stuff. Okay. So you got to be very careful. You don't want to get hurt on that. If you're brand new, a lot of times that's why people start wholesaling, so they could build up the money, build up some cash. You might have cash already or ways of getting money. Then, and once they do like 5 or 6 wholesale deals, then they might buy one rental, you know. And there's a lot of different ways of buying rentals. You could seller finance it, where the seller will, you know, be the bank for you. So rentals are a good way. You know, you're not going to get rich fast on rentals, but you know, just think eventually if you had 10 rentals and you're making, you know, $300 a month profit after everything, that's $3,000 a month, you know, and you have 20 rentals, now you're making $6,000 a month. And sometimes you'll make more, sometimes you'll make less. So it just depends if you buy 2 families or 4 families. So, you know, fix and flips, you just, if you got to be careful, especially brand new. Have you ever flipped anything before a house?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
And I think wholesaling is probably something that I least understand and don't know how to work those.
I gotcha. Yeah, wholesaling is where you find a motivated seller, someone that wants to sell because something went wrong, foreclosure, back taxes, bad tenants. It could be anything, divorce, job loss, all kinds of reasons why they inherited the house, and you make them an offer to buy their property at a deep discount, and you get it under contract. Let's say you get under contract at a deep discount, you know, and then you turn around and find a buyer and you sell it to them for an assignment fee for more. So if I get a deal for 50 grand, it's worth 150, and I turn around and sell it for 75,000, I make a $25,000 assignment fee. It didn't cost me any money to do that, just my time. It might have cost me money to find the list and things like that, but I didn't have to buy the house. I didn't have to put a down payment down, any of that. And you make an assignment fee. Okay, that's what wholesaling is about.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I remembered now before I forget. So does anyone, like, I've heard that I could get access to MLS listings just because I live in New York and I don't typically go out when it's snowing, because then when I come back home, I don't find parking. I live in an apartment. So I'm starting this. So since I'm starting this wholesaling thing, right? I want to find creative ways of doing it without having to go out of my apartment. And I've heard that I can get like assistant access to the MLS through a broker or agent. Do you know anything about that?
So, I mean, you could do virtual wholesaling where you don't, there's people that do that all the time. They never leave their office or their house. What did you ask about the last part about brokers and agents?
That I heard that they can give you like access to the MLS as an assistant, like you don't have like the full thing, and they would only charge you like a modest fee every month or every quarter. I approached a realtor regarding that, an agent, and I mentioned it. Oh my God, but he wanted to charge me an arm and a leg for it like monthly. And I'm like, hey, I'm just starting. I don't have money to pay you that kind of.
Yeah, no.
Every
Yeah,
month.
you can find someone that's gonna charge you, you know, it cost me I got a couple assistants and it cost me $25 a quarter.
That's what I want to find, but I haven't been able to contact, find the person to contact and say,
Even
"Hey,
if they charged you $25 a month or $50 a month, it might be worth it. But I don't know, it might not be, but it depends, all you need is to get some deals off of it and it's definitely worth it. But yeah, you just got to find that person where it makes sense to you and they're going to let you do that. And, to get access to the MLS is huge. If you're not an agent and you have access to that, you can get a lot of information off of it.
so it is possible to find someone nowadays that only charges me the
Yeah.
25 or
Yeah, you might become friends with the realtor and they might do that for you, tell them whatever it costs you, I'll pay you. I'll pay for it, pay them up front, whatever you got to do, just so that they're not chasing you. And that would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone that came. Thanks for sticking with me for all this time. Sorry about the people that came on here and was going crazy. That stuff happens, but feel free to join my Facebook page and also reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. All right.
Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Have a great night,
Thank you for
everyone.
your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone.
You too. See ya. Bye.